Sports Talent Show. My name is Christopher Saunders, and I'm pleased to have on with me from the Gilbert girls basketball program, Emily Arel. And hey, congratulations on as far as the Berkshire League is concerned. For people who may not know, that's where Gilbert is. Again, not very big town. Some people may have a hard time finding it. You may drive by it, but it is there, and there is a lot of talent. I know the co-op with the football team with Northwestern Housatonic produced a lot of very good football players. But for you specifically, you've kind of really laid the foundation and built a very strong house at Gilbert, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew coming in as a freshman, the team was, I mean, I don't want to say in shambles, but like the past couple years it was a really hard past couple years. So I knew
Hmm.
coming in I had to make an immediate impact, whether that was scoring or getting a bunch of steals, rebounding, even though I'm small, like doing whatever I could. And
Hmm.
my coaches had full confidence in me when Coach Hicks was there. He retired 2 years ago now, but now Coach Kurt. I mean, they've always had full confidence in me, and so they kind of let me do what I needed to do to take control and make sure that my team does what we need to do to get any win we can.
Like, when did it for you, really specifically with everything that you've accomplished, right? Even before what you were able to do a couple days ago, right? I
hmm
mean, take me into just like, have you like kind of come to the realization, being able to reflect on everything that you've done so far?
I mean, honestly, it still feels like yesterday when I hit my 1,000 points at Terryville as a sophomore. It's like doesn't it still doesn't feel real, you know.
Hmm.
Um, But I'm so grateful for everything that I've accomplished, like breaking the school record at Gilbert of us like that 1806 from Ellen Garrity. I looked at that number
Hmm.
from when I was a little peanut, a little girl, you know, and being able to break that was just like unreal. I'm so happy that I was able to. And obviously, like I know I've broken records, more records to come, stuff like this, and championships hopefully to come for the team. You know, fingers
Hmm.
crossed. But I'm very, very grateful for where I am right now as a player.
Now, for me, because I'm not as familiar with the Berkshire League, especially with some of the schools. I know, Thomaston and Terryville because when I used to live in Watertown, that it kind of was like in the area. It was close by and such. But as far as the other schools, I'm not too familiar. But how old is Gilbert the school? Has it been around for a while?
Oh, I mean, quite a while. So before Gilbert was a school, it used to be there. I think it used to be an orphanage. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
So it was built in the 1800s or something like that. So
Holy cow!
it's been there for a long time. And I think they did. It used to be way smaller. They did an addition, and there's like a north and a south wing to it, even though it's still
Yeah.
really small, you know. But they did an addition a couple decades ago, I'd say probably.
Okay, so if it was an orphanage, there, especially that long ago, there
hmm
probably were nuns, if I had to guess. And
Well,
if
I'm
there's
sure.
And if there were nuns, and it's got to be a holy place, and
Mhm.
that means I could see why there's so much good luck going on in that school.
Hey, you know what? I certainly hope so. You know, I mean, keep the good luck coming if it is.
Well, they need to sprinkle some of that on the boys' team for Coach Douglas. I seriously want to see them. I know they haven't, I don't think they've won a game yet. I think they're 0-6 or something like that.
Yeah,
I would like to see them turn it around. Even
yeah.
if they don't make the playoffs, just finish strong for Douglas. Because again, I told you the Rep Bam article that they did on him, I learned so much about a guy that I
hmm
didn't even really know about, and shame on me. But there's very few lifers, I think, as far as the sport of not just basketball, but being a coach at the high school level because of obvious reasons. Family, job, you just
Yep.
get burnt out. He's been around not since the 1800s, but
Mhm.
pretty close. No pun intended. But no, but seriously, he's a Gilbert guy through and through. And I
Oh,
mean, there's not many
absolutely.
guys like him out there.
Yep. Absolutely. No, he's a great guy. I mean, I've always loved him. I'm kind of sad he's retiring because it's always been nice to have him around. I'm happy I do have him for my last year here, but
Hmm.
you know, he's always cared about his players. He's cared about the girls team. You know, I mean, I know he's involved in G&H football too. He's always been involved in everything, and he's a great person. And I'd love to see his team have his some success this season, and I feel like they will once they're starting to come together. It's good things ahead for them. If not this year, then certainly in the next year or two, they're gonna be looking very, very good.
when did you feel like the girls' team was starting to turn the corner? Because you said kind of a little bit how it was a little wonky, a little rough. When did things start to turn for the program?
Honestly, so I don't remember which game number it was, but my freshman year,
Hmm.
I remember this game vividly. We were playing Nanawag at home, and it was really early in the season, I think. And we we were playing them, and it was like a close game back and forth. And so I'm like, oh my God, because first of all, we hadn't come. I mean, I'm not trying to be like that. I don't know if we had like 4 wins a season, less than that for like a couple of years in a row. And so we're keeping like close with this team, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I don't think we sent it in overtime. I think we just ended up winning, and everyone was just like in such high spirits and so excited, and I was so excited, because I'm like,
Hmm.
this is where this team is gonna like make a turning point, and not only for my freshman year, but for the years coming after. And I hope when I leave, like the girls after me want to set the example that I have, and like the other seniors that I've played with have, and
Hmm.
kind of just set the tone for the freshmen and years coming.
Do you
But
feel
definitely my
like
freshman year.
do you feel like that's kind of been to a certain degree? Do you feel like that's happened?
Honestly, yeah. Like the freshmen that we've gotten every year, we only got one freshman last year. Trinity, her name's Trinity. We got one
Mhm.
freshman last year, but I mean, by like I'm gonna say midway through the season, she was just so focused and like locked in of like I really want to get better, and like I want to do whatever
Yeah.
I can for my team. And I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hard on her at first, not rude, but I was hard on her. I'm like, hey, like if you want this, you really gotta lock in. Like you gotta know our plays, you gotta know this, you gotta lock in at
Hmm.
practice, because that's where all the magic happens. That's how you're gonna win games at when you start that at practice.
Hmm.
And she took it seriously, and I mean, she's helping a lot this year. She helped us in our Northwestern game last year. Um, it was the first time we played them at home. She had like 8 points, and we wouldn't have won that game if she didn't have those 8 points. She had a huge steal, a huge layup at the end of the game, and something else I can't remember. But the freshmen this year too, they're really locked in, and I feel like holding them to a certain like accountability, a certain level of accountability is very important for them as they're young, because as they get older, when I'm not here, like I know I'm not going to be here their 4 years to hold them accountable and be like, hey, like you got to lock in, like you got to do this, you got to do that, this is what you do in this situation. But like structure wise, if I can do it in a nice way now, at least for half the season, they just realize that it's definitely going to carry on when I'm gone, and that's honestly my goal, because I want Gilbert to be successful even after I'm gone.
You said there was only one player that came out last year. You said there was only one girl.
One freshman that Yeah, there's one freshman. We had sophomores, and obviously the juniors. I think
Yeah.
we had one senior, but we were mainly sophomores and juniors last year. And then we have 4 freshmen this year. Still one, I think one sophomore still. We had 5 freshmen at the beginning of the season, but one decided to do cheer.
Okay.
Um and yeah, I mean, we got a big freshman class this year. I mean, 4 is a lot compared to what we usually get, until except for my freshman year when we had like I want to say 6 or 7.
So
But
is that typical? Like again, I'm assuming team is probably not that big. Numbers are not big. Like that's got to be. I mean, can you field a JV team or do you just have a varsity?
well, I mean, I think we actually do have enough for JV this year. We've had uh, 1 or 2 JV games. I don't know which. We've had 1 or 2,
Okay.
and it's great because last year we barely had enough too. We
That's
had
what I
two.
thought. Yeah.
We had 2 foreign exchange students play last year. And obviously they couldn't play varsity because of like that whole deal. I don't know how it works, but
Hmm.
I knew they weren't allowed to play varsity legally.
Hmm.
And so, um, we had enough for a JV team, but then once they left because they were only here for a semester, then we
Hmm.
didn't have a JV team, and so it was kind of hard for those girls that got mainly JV minutes or like that game time to like kind of just feel what it was like to be in a game situation versus just practicing, because it's hard to get some people in really close games. Obviously, I mean, it's hard to be a coach. It's not easy to get every single player in every single game, and I know
Hmm.
our coaches do the best that they can, but
Hmm.
I'm happy we have enough for a JV team this year. We should be good, barring injury and stuff like that.
I was gonna say that's got to be tough to be able to not have as many
Mm,
players because then, as you know, as yourself, who at the time was preparing for potentially to play college at the next level at the time, and then just to prepare for an opponent, like there's only so many bodies, and you can't go. I mean, you want to go 100%, but you
yep,
can't because you may injure your seventh player on the bench, and let's say you only have seven. Well, now you're down to six, and then you're playing more minutes than you should, and if you end up running out of players and foul trouble starts coming into play. Now you got four players on the court, sometimes three. I mean, a lot of
yep,
factors there. It's not good.
yep, absolutely. And I mean, again, especially with Gilbert being so small, because we only have Winston kids coming to our school. We're not a regional school where we have like for Northwestern, they have
Yeah,
3 or 4 different towns to choose from.
all
We
over. Yeah,
have we have one.
yeah.
So I mean, that it's hard. It's hard to get enough for JV and varsity, but I'm happy we have enough this year. It's good.
Well, I can tell you, I know Winstead about this much because my grandparents, one of them sadly passed away. Well, actually, no, both of them passed away. But when they used to live up there, the Dairy Queen in that little corner next to the factory, great
Mm-hmm.
place, especially during the summer. And then there's the golf course that has the go-karts and all that. You know what I'm talking about with the batting cages
Yep,
next
yep,
to the
yep.
baseball fields and
R&B's.
all? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That place I've been going to since I was a kid when my grandparents used to live
Mm-hmm.
up there. That place is awesome. Again, during the
Yep.
summertime. It's a fun place.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
but yeah, so just looking at from your perspective, kind of turning back to you, coming into this year, what was obviously the goal, and I'm sure you stated it earlier as far as winning a title. And I mean, I don't know if Gilbert's ever won one for girls. I know boys
Mm-hmm.
they've done some things, but the girls they have not, correct?
I think the last Berkshire League title they got was 1998, and I think it was when that was or 97. It might have been 97 because Ellen Garrity graduated in 98, and I think they won it in 97.
So no state title, just the Berkshire League title.
I think so. I don't think a state title. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so.
So your mission is break that long, long curse as far as the Berkshire League, and then if you bring a state title home, I would think a parade is probably going to go past Dairy Queen, right?
Hey, they're better. Hey, there better be. If we bring home a state title, the whole town better be involved in that because oh my God, I'd be ecstatic.
Do you think, I mean, again, you've seen a lot of basketball. I'm sure you've played, I don't know how much you played during the summer if you play other sports, but I'm sure you know the landscape of the state to a degree. I don't know
Yeah.
how many players you know in Class S, but
Hmm.
thinking about what you have in front of you, and I know you have the Berkshire League side to go through. I know you just played a team up in Bristol, and I know you suffered your first loss. Gilbert suffered their first loss, but it's good to do it now and not at the end because now you can regroup and actually learn. I always felt like I'd rather lose a game or two in the regular season if I was
Yep.
playing because now you're not riding high thinking like, oh, we've never dealt with the pitfalls of losing. Well, now you have. Um, what do you think the chances are? I mean, not chances, but what is your kind of perspective looking at what's in front of you the rest of the way?
I mean, honestly, I think that in not only Berks but for states, we could go all the way this year. I mean, we have a solid starting five. We even probably up to 7 girls that can do damage, whether it's on offense or defense. Like everybody has a different role. You don't need
Mhm.
someone who scores 30 points a game if they can get 15 rebounds a game or 5 to 6 steals a game. Like that's just as good as that 20, 30 points. And we have girls on the team that
Mhm.
that do play their role. And if we do that, I see us going extremely far in
Mhm.
the state tournament. Like we did last year. We made a great run.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, we just weren't conditioned to the best of our ability, but we've been fixing that this year. We've been running a lot more at practice. Everybody, it's been like a key detail. Like we need to actually run hard in practices and stuff
Mhm.
like that, so that when we get far in states, we're not gassed by halftime or the end of the first quarter.
Mhm.
But I, I s- if barring injuries and as long as everyone stays in the same mindset that we are right now at the beginning of the season, I see us going very far.
Well, I think Thompson kind of laid the blueprint in order to how to get things done right, especially not with having a deep roster. I mean, I think about their soccer team a couple years ago when they were at the final for the girls' side. They didn't have a deep roster. Their basketball teams have been pretty, as far as depth, have been good. But again, it's not like they're bringing out 30 girls to come play. I mean, it's not a lot. And it can be done if you have a collective nine or 10 who can buy in, like you said, and just can do the little things. I think the conditioning is a big part, like you said. If that can be, I don't know if that can be fixed, but if you can be conditioned enough and kind of train yourselves to pace, I think that's probably the best word to use, pace. I would
Yeah.
think you guys would be okay.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's like you said, pacing yourself is the whole thing. You don't want to be burning yourself sprinting for 6 possessions in a row. I mean, that's not going to get you or your team anywhere. You're just going to be tired, and your coach is going to have to blow a timeout that you might need at the end of the game, you know? So, pacing yourself and just having that conditioning is crucial.
Now,
Absolutely.
before I let you go, and I appreciate you coming on,
Mhm.
did you strike me as the kind of person that knows and you're very aware of things. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like when you became, as far as breaking the Berkshire League record, as far as passing Ellen and doing all that, and it's crazy because I was looking at the rundown, the
Mhm.
who runs it on Instagram. I didn't realize the young lady from Northwestern's not far behind Ellen. So Ellen may get passed by two players this year.
Yep.
So she's probably like, screaming to the sky. No, she's probably thrilled. I'm just kidding. Um,
No, she is.
but in all seriousness though, did you know like after every game last year, this year, like, hey, numbers coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. Like, oh crap, I may do it this game, and then you did. Like, did you realize that?
I mean, obviously, I was keeping track of my points,
Yeah,
absolutely. Was it my main thing? Like, no, but obviously knowing how many points I have is it I mean, obviously I knew.
yeah,
Um and we knew at like me and my parents were doing it at the beginning of the season, like how many games it would take, and we knew it was going to be 3 or 4 depending on.
yeah.
And obviously, like I said, like that's been a huge goal of mine since forever. I mean, I've worked my butt off to not only be able to break these records, but to be
Mhm,
able to hopefully bring home championships, like we said, but especially break these records. I mean, playing year round, getting extra hours in since I've been in third grade, it's been a lot. But
mhm,
I've been working hard for it, and so I've been paying attention to it quite a bit, but it's not the my main goal, but it's definitely something that you can't really keep out of your mind if it's coming up. When I knew I was beating Ellen Garrity's thing, it was surreal, but I was also like, okay, like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen whether it's this game or the next. It's not a big deal when it happens, but
mhm.
it's really cool that I got to.
Well, it's cool that you were able to notch another thing on your belt, and as far as however long you're able to play the kids game, no matter if it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, right? I mean, the quote I always say for Moneyball that the scout was talking to when he was talking to a young Billy Bean, we're all too old to play the child's game, and keep playing because once you stop, when life takes over, adultism starts to come into play, then it becomes impossible to be able to do things. So play as
Yeah.
long as you can. I know you have the opportunity to play at post, and I'm sure you're looking forward to that, obviously after the season and such. But that's got to be a pretty awesome thing for you to know that you can continue to play the game at the Division 2 level, correct?
Division
Post?
two, yeah, I'm
Right.
so grateful. I'm so excited to play for Coach Courtney.
Yep.
Her and the coaching staff made it very adamant that they're excited for me to be a part of the family, and I'm very, very excited to play with them next year.
And also too, I mean, you're not, I mean, what, Gilbert to Waterbury is what?
35 minutes.
30?
It's like 35
Yeah.
minutes from my house to the campus, so I mean, it's not right there, but it's not crazy
Yeah.
far either, which is nice.
No, it's not far. The athletic center is really nice. I
Hmm.
know that Powerhouse Gym is right next to it if you want to go there and work out
Yep.
inside that gym. I mean, there's and I think too, there's also in that little plaza that's I think next to Powerhouse or in that area or
Hmm.
something like that. There's a nice little like sub place where you can get some really good food there. I don't know if you know
Yes.
about, you
Yeah,
know what I'm
there
talking about,
is.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, because I know my wife has celiac, so she gets the gluten-free wraps, and they're
Yeah.
really good, and they're not bad. And again, it's also good because you're in the area too, so that
Yeah,
helps. So,
absolutely.
but hey, I appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. Best of luck as far as the rest of the year. And hey, maybe who knows? Maybe I'll see you guys at Mohegan if you can get it done. That would be pretty cool.
Hey, I'm hoping you will.
Hey, that wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. Next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. Enjoy, find them all. Enjoy the day, everybody, and be well.